Hello, I hope you are having a wonderful day, evening, or night wherever you are in the world. If you are new to Betta Days, welcome, and if you've been sticking around for a little while, welcome back. I'm so glad to see you. If you haven't heard my story yet, I've had a 5-gallon for a while, but a few months back I wanted to set up a 10-gallon. So I'll be highlighting a few of the things that I did to really help jumpstart that cycle and get it going so it didn't take quite as long. Now, I would like to mention before I start that I obviously already had a tank fully cycled and ready. This is going to help you. If you're watching this video and you're starting a tank for the first time, then this video probably won't help you. This is really for if you have 1, 2, 3, however many tanks already cycled and you want to set up another. The first thing I did after I got everything set up, after I got the tank cleaned out and I added the rocks, after I'd rinsed them out and everything, I'd taken all the prior steps. I added some of the water from my cycled tank into that tank. Now it was a fair step up, so I would say I filled up the tank about 1/3 of the way with already cycled water from one of my old tanks. Now if you have several tanks, you can add a little bit more than this. You can even do 50% of the water in that tank from your other cycled tanks if you have more than one. This is obviously going to be easier if you have more tanks. This step is really helpful because that water is going to contain some of the beneficial bacteria and really help you get the cycle going. The second thing I did was take my used filter media. Now, if you have a filter or a hang-on back filter, that filter media is going to be the sponge that is inside, or if you have a sponge filter, which is even better, and I always recommend a sponge filter setup. But if you have one, go ahead and take that out, take the sponge part, the outer part, and stick it in that tank once it's filled with water and everything. And then you're just going to squeeze it. Now, preferably you would squeeze it out right next to the new filter, if it's a sponge filter. That way the filter can suck everything up into that brand new sponge and it can start getting everything going. It can start getting a really big jump with the beneficial bacteria as well, because a sponge filter or your filter media is really where the main load of beneficial bacteria is going to be, as well as the substrate. The last thing that's going to be really helpful is getting a source of ammonia into that tank to get the cycle started. And a lot of people talk about how putting some fish flakes or some fish pellets in there is going to help. I have noticed that the best source of ammonia you can get is waste. And since I always recommend a fishless cycle, you aren't going to get that waste from a fish. So where are you going to get the waste? Snails. Now, you don't have to add ram's horn snails like I did. You could add a singular narite snail, you could add a mystery snail, but any snail, you can go ahead and just pop it right into the tank and it's going to be totally fine. It should not be affected the same way in an uncycled tank as a fish might be. For me, I just added a bunch of little ram's horn snails, and obviously they laid eggs, and then I had a fair amount in there. Now, they have never overrun my tank, but they provided a really great source of ammonia. Doing these 3 things, if I'm being completely honest, after about 1 to 2 weeks after I tested the water, all the levels were normal. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that the cycle is completely done. I always recommend to wait at least 3 weeks, usually a month is best, but if you go ahead and take all the steps that I laid out today, it's going to greatly reduce the time. If after filling up about 1/3 or 1/2 of the tank with used aquarium water, as I previously mentioned, and then filling it the rest of the way with dechlorinated tap water, you will probably notice within about a day of doing so that the water is going to become quite cloudy. And the cloudier the better, as long as this cloudiness doesn't come from unrinsed substrate. You want the cloudiness to come from the beneficial bacteria. So what's going to happen is after you add that water in, when you add fresh in with the water from your cycle tanks, it's essentially going to behave the same as if you did a 50% change on your old tank. So the beneficial bacteria is going to notice a reduction in the amount of beneficial bacteria in the tank because you've added new water. So it's going to start kicking it up and rapidly creating more, which is why the water will become cloudy. So if you give it about a day, day and a half, that will clear up. That type of cloudy water is going to be the best sign, and that is exactly what I got with my 10-gallon. Now, if you would like to see how I set up my 10-gallon, visit the video up here. I will have it pop up if I remember. Hopefully I will remember, but if I don't, for some odd chance, let me know in the comments and I can just link it, or I can link it in the description for you. Alright, I hope these 3 tips helped you. If you enjoyed the video, or if you have anything else you would like to add, feel free to put those in the comments. Also, don't forget to join my private Facebook group, Betta Fish Forum. If you haven't yet, a link to that will be in the description. In addition, I have a new guide that came out. It's only been out for a little while, so if you would like to check that out, there will be a link to that in the description as well. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.